Hello there, this is Focus on GRA and I'm your host, Nikisha Castello. This week we'll place our attention on freight relief for importers, how you can electronically file your monthly PAYE tax return, the new safety protocols if you desire to transact business with the GRA, and finally, your question and answer segment. So stay tuned, we've got you covered on all of this and more after these short messages.
When it comes to healthcare, we all want the best hospitals, the best doctors, and the best treatment. But sometimes the best comes at a heavy cost. Well, the good news is you don't have to worry about VAT on medical, dental, hospital, optical, or paramedical services. There's also no VAT on orthopedic appliances like hearing aids or others that are implanted on the body to compensate for a defect or disability. Sounds like good news to help you feel better for the best.
We want the best facilities that this country could ever see, the best infrastructure and public utility, the best education for children in this country, the best health services and public security. But if we want to see such development in every community, then we must be fair and pay we full share of taxes and duty. Want proper bridges and coca, pay your tax. Better roads and safer, pay your tax. Better electric power, pay your tax. Clear potable water, pay your tax. Better schools and teacher, pay your tax. Better nurses and doctor, pay your tax. Better police and soldier, pay your tax. For a better Guyana, pay your tax.
Meet Cindy.
Meet Shivani.
Cindy is using the old tax software to assist taxpayers,
While Shivani is using the new optimal software where everything is stored electronically and is easily accessible.
Optimal Revenue Management System. Let's get ready for 2021.
Welcome back. You're watching Focus on GRA. In keeping with the President's directive on the relief for freight charges to pre-pandemic levels in the calculation of duties and taxes on goods imported and sold locally, the Guyana Revenue Authority advises that the relief to freight charges will be applied to imports of goods. This relief takes effect for a period of 6 months and is only for freight purposes. Let's learn more.
The government has given approval for freight costs to be charged at pre-pandemic prices as part of measures to cushion consumers from increasing prices.
Recently, importers have been submitting freight as much as 15,000 US from China. And, of course, when you add on a freight, because goods are calculated in CIF, when you add that freight to the goods, it obviously escalates the price. So it would affect all the prices going on in the market. Now, government reviewed and they decided to reduce the freight pre-pandemic.
Importers of freights 20 feet and 40 feet bringing goods from China, Canada, the Caribbean, the European Union, the United Kingdom, the United States of America, Panama, and other approved countries can now apply freight costs at the pre-pandemic level from March 31, 2020. Deputy Commissioner of Customs Operations Gavin Lowe explains how this relief will be applied.
Let's say prior to the pandemic, you shipping a container, 40-foot container out to China, it was 3,500 US, but now you're paying 12,500 or 13,000 or whatever the case may be. So we will give you the option of putting in that 3,500 as the freight. So even though you will pay that freight, you wouldn't pay the taxes on the entire CIF. You'll pay the taxes on the cost of the goods plus the freight at 3,500 and not at 13,500 or 14,500, whatever is the current rate.
The full list of approved countries and average freight costs can be found on GRA's website. The freight relief is for a period of 6 months, which took effect from August 1, 2021 and will conclude on January 31, 2022.
This only applies to goods purchased from August 1st, 2021. So if you're buying goods before, the benefit will not pass on. as yet. It will only be passed on when you provide an invoice and a shipping date after August 1st, 2021.
The free on board or FOB values declared on invoices will be reviewed, cross-referenced, and applied by the Customs, Excise and Trade Operations based on the rules of the World Trade Organization and the 5th Schedule of the Customs Act for consistency. Meanwhile, importers who are shipping from countries or regions not specifically mentioned will be reviewed based on the country, as Mr. Lowe explains.
Once a person brings goods from one of the countries outside of that list, they will present to us previous documents to show that this was the freight they used to pay prior to the pandemic, and this is the current freight that they're paying. And once it's higher, then we would allow them to use the lower freight. They can send an email to the Comptroller of Customs, submit proof of what the freight was prepaid pre-pandemic and was the current freight. And once we are satisfied that the freight charges are higher, we'll give them the benefit.
The GRA Central Revenue Protection Unit, Post-Clearance Audit Unit, and Law Enforcement and Investigations Division will be driven by a risk management system that will verify the accuracy and authenticity of declared particulars and taxes paid in keeping with the law. Those found non-compliant may be subject to additional taxes, fines, or penalties, and the possible removal of the relief being granted under the measure. Importers who are seeking more clarification can contact the Customs, Excise and Trade Operations Department.
All employers are required to submit to the GRA their employees' monthly and yearly pay-as-you-earn PAYE amounts using the Form 2 and 5 respectively. With the introduction of the Optimal Revenue Management System, all forms must be submitted electronically using the Optimal e-services. Here is more. With the upgrade of its tax administration software and e-services platform, the Guyana Revenue Authority now offers a revamped facility to upload and manage PAYE submissions online. For employers who have in the past electronically submitted PAYE returns, please note that there are a few slight changes to the format of the data. Employers should be mindful of potential errors for errors. These errors can be significant and lead to delays in processing the return, but also to incorrect updating of their employees' tax records, such as mismatched TINs with the employees' names and addresses, incorrect TINs stored in an HR or payroll computerized system, incorrect amounts and TINs entered or generated in the electronic files for submission, incorrect employer TIN entered. When submitting the data electronically, the employer must prepare the data in the prescribed format and upload same to the GRA's e-services using their online account or through a tax agent. An employer must only submit one file per month or year as appropriate. After uploading the file, any errors encountered while validating the submission will be displayed. To avoid encountering errors, employers can utilize the File Format Validator located on GRA's website in the Calculators and Tools tab on the homepage. In cases where issues with the TIN cannot be resolved, leave the TIN field blank. When all the issues are resolved, you will be able to continue with the submission. The electronic file must be provided in a comma-separated values CSV format with a comma used as the separator. Each row must include all the fields even if no data is provided. A row represents the earnings and other details of an employee over the return period. If, for example, an employee worked 2 stints during the year, this must be summarized so that there is one record or row for the employee. To view the guidelines for submissions, a Forms 2 sample file, and the standard electronic template, you can go to GRA's website, hover over the Business tab, and select File Your PAYE, or visit the Optimal Resource page at www.gra.gov.gy/optimal. Applications for the Custom House Broker's license for the year 2021 have been filled by over 100 applicants. Written comments or information regarding the issuance of the license are invited. The written comments or information must be addressed to the Commissioner General of the Guyana Revenue Authority, 200 to 201 Cam Street, Georgetown, or via email to training@gra.gov.gy no later than September 1, 2021. To view the complete list of applicants, kindly visit our website or Facebook. Coming up, we will learn about the new protocols taxpayers must follow once they are entering the GRA and your questions in focus.
Meet Tom.
Meet Harry.
Tom failed to update his banking information with the GRA and now has to go into the agency to receive his refund check.
While Harry is using the new Optimal software and his refund was successfully transferred to his bank account.
Optimal Revenue Management System. Let's get ready for 2021.
If you are a person with a disability and you are purchasing a vehicle designed for your use, here's some good news. You will be exempt from paying VAT and excise tax for that vehicle. It gets better. If you are converting a vehicle to be used by a person with a disability, that vehicle is also exempted from excise tax and VAT. This will have to be done to the satisfaction of the Commissioner General of the GRA.
As a remigrant, you can import more than one vehicles and pay no import duties, no VAT, and reduce excise tax. However, the total exemption cannot exceed $5 million. If it does, you will have to pay the additional duties and taxes. Did I mention that returning students are also entitled to the same benefit 6 months after settling in the country? For additional information and assistance, contact us 227-6060, extension 1201 to 1204.
As a result of the National Budget 2021, the Senior Minister with responsibility for finance, Dr. Ashley Singh, announced that a number of household supplies are now VAT zero rated. These changes took effect from March 1, 2021.
The government has reinstated the zero-rated VAT status of food items, household necessities, and educational materials. Schedule 1 of the Value-Added Tax Act has been amended to include Sections 13, 14, and 16, which outlines the list of food items, household necessities, and educational materials that are now zero-rated. This measure was part of Budget 2021, which was presented by Minister with responsibility for finance, Dr. Ashley Singh, last month.
An extensive list of basic necessities were zero-rated so as to ensure that the VAT did not lead to an increase in the cost of these goods and services or become burdensome on taxpayers. These items include basic wheaten flour, basic breads, oats, unflavored cracker biscuits, cooking oil, locally produced bed linen like bed sheets and pillowcases, toothbrushes, etc.
These were previously exempted items contained in Schedule 2 of the VAT Act. Businesses trading in these taxable items that would have unregistered for VAT are advised that they can now re-register to be able to claim refunds on these items. Assistant Commissioner Lavina Waldron explains the importance of record keeping in this regard.
If you don't have proper books and records, you don't have invoices and everything to support the VAT you paid, it will be disallowed. Keep your proper books and records. Make sure that the invoices are prepared, the purchase invoices are prepared in the way that it should. Make sure that you're purchasing from someone who is a VAT registrant, because remember, part of the law says certificate must be displayed. So you're trading with someone, they're charging you VAT, you must be able to see indeed whether they're a VAT registrant or not, because the certificate must be displayed at a conspicuous place.
It is mandatory for a person carrying on taxable activity equal to or more than $15 million in gross income for any 12-month period to register with the GRA to charge VAT.
And remember that now that we have Section 18.2 back on board in terms of the legislation, if you're if you're making an exempt supply, once it's been exported, so in other words, if you're exporting more than 15 million within a year, because that export element is now considered taxable because it's zero rated. So you're required to register. That's without a choice.
A business can also voluntarily register to charge VAT even if they do not meet the threshold.
You might not be making that amount. You are also have the opportunity to register, provided that you apply to us and you prove that you have proper books and records, and you've been maintaining account of your transaction, your daily activities, stock and everything. And you also have a fixed place of business, and you provide a taxable supply. The main challenge is not neither of the latter two, fixed place of business or taxable supply. What we observe, the main challenge is proving that you actually have proper books and records in place. That legislation, regulations provide for what records should be there. So I just advise you to check the website, check our acts, touch with the accountant or whoever to guide you in that process, and you can register.
You can visit the GRA's website, www.gra.gov.gy, to view the full list of items that are zero rated and exempted for VAT purposes. The full list will also be published in the 4 daily newspapers.
The GRA has implemented a new policy which only allows vaccinated taxpayers to transact business with the agency. Unvaccinated taxpayers who are desirous of entering the GRA's offices must first set an appointment and produce a negative PCR test. More in this feature.
To transact business with the Guyana Revenue Authority, taxpayers must prove their vaccination status in keeping with the recently gazetted COVID-19 national emergency measures. Manager of the Public Relations Unit, Marcia Harris, explains that management has implemented new protocols for taxpayers visiting any GRA office. The GRA will allow vaccinated persons immediate access to its premises.
When they come to do transactions with the Guyana Revenue Authority, that they provide proof of vaccination, which will mean their vaccination cards in this instance, and of course they also have to provide a valid form of identification. And so that will be your driver's license, your national ID, or your passport.
Taxpayers who are unvaccinated will have to make an appointment before accessing GRA's premises.
Well, we have some hotlines that we would have published, and we also have some email addresses that we would have shared for persons who want to make contact with the head office, for persons who want to make contact with any of our branch offices, or for our operations at the wharves. And so we have those email addresses for the persons who are making appointments for Georgetown location, which is headquarters basically. You have appointments at gra.gov.gy. And of course, I know that you're going to show those so that they can have them on screen and they can write them out. You also have wharves at gra.gov.gy, and you have branches at gra.gov.gy. So those are the 3 email addresses that persons can write to when they want to make an appointment, or they can call our switchboard or receptionist, and the telephone numbers are the ones that they will usually call all the time, but it's just the extensions that they need to remember. And so they can call 227-6060 or 227-8222, and the extensions to call once you would have dialed those numbers, the extensions that you will punch in are 1502, 1506, or 1507.
Taxpayers are advised to be clear on which department they would like to visit to conduct business when making an appointment.
So if it's for license, then you need to ensure that you're telling us that your appointment is for the license department because you want to do registration, or you want to have your driver's license renewed, whatever the case may be, but you need to be clear on that so we will know how to route your call so that you can speak with the right person and we don't have to be transferring you to different places.
Similarly, when making an appointment through the email option, taxpayers are advised to be clear on what type of service they would like to access.
If you explain your situation clearly, then we can route that email to the right department, and they will in turn make contact with you. So we are also asking persons to ensure that they indicate in the email, if they were to use the email route, that they indicate a contact number, just in the event that the officer needs to call them to clarify any issues that they may have with the appointment.
Taxpayers are encouraged to contact Tax Advisory Services section for advice on tax matters via email taxadvisory@gra.gov.gy.
For persons who want to make regular queries like they usually make, they can do so by making contact with the very telephone numbers that we mentioned before, which is 227-6060 and the 227-8222. They can call those numbers and then they can get on to the tax advisory services section now, which will provide them with tax advice on any issue they may, tax-related issue, of course, that they may need advice on. And so they can, the extensions that they can dial to get a tax advisory services section, they can use 8000, which will link them to the Hunt group, where what happens there is that once you dial 8000, then your call is transferred, or it bounces across all the extensions that are available in that section, so that if somebody is on a call, and you wouldn't have to be on hold all the time, so the call will bounce around until somebody picks up the call. Or if you don't want to use the Hunt group, which is 8000, then you can use the direct extensions, which are 1200, 1201 to 1204. 1201 to 1204 are the ordinary extensions.
These new visiting measures took effect from August 9, 2021. The new GRA visiting measure applies to all GRA's integrated regional tax offices, wharves, transit sheds, and headquarters.
The Guyana Revenue Authority is pleased to introduce to you our Optimal Revenue Management System. You don't have to stand in line, file your tax online. At GRA now it's a fact. You could go online and file your tax. Stay home, don't worry, just relax. Stay safe and file your tax. Save money and time, you don't have to stand in line. Never miss a deadline. At GRA, you can file your tax online. The Optimal Revenue Management System is an improved and user-friendly software that facilitates online services and the management of your tax affairs from your homes or offices. With this powerful and flexible solution, we provide comprehensive and flexible online services, thereby reducing the cost of compliance. Visit the GRA resource page www.gra.gov.gy/optimal to find out more. Sign up and register for an Optimal account at eservices.gra.gov.gy. At GRA, you can file your tax online.
Hi, I am Balwan Prasad, driver for the past 10 years. Over the years that I have been driving, I always make sure that I buckle up, I observe the 5C, and most importantly, make sure that I renew my driver's license at least 3 months before the expiration date.
Thanks for staying with us. We'll now join our tax specialist to answer a few common questions we received from taxpayers.
I'm joined by tax specialist Susan Watson in this segment, Your Question in Focus.
Thank you.
Suzanne, welcome. Okay, so VAT on building materials. In fact, the removal of VAT on building materials. Let's start with lumber. Is lumber free of VAT?
No, VAT is not applicable on lumber. Lumber is now zero rated, and this is according to Schedule 1 of the VAT Act 8105, paragraph 8. And the lumber must be locally produced, right, in order for it to be zero rated, and would only be used for construction and housing. So the key word there is locally produced.
Okay, great. So apart from lumber, is there any other building material that is zero rated?
Yes, they are sand, loam, alvas, concrete blocks, plywood, logs of a type and quality used in construction and building of houses, locally produced pre-stressed concrete piles, locally fabricated and manufactured steel beams, right, for building and construction.
Oh, okay, great. So here's a question. What advice would you give VAT registrants, especially on whether or not they should charge VAT on PVC products or maybe palings?
For the recent budget, 2021, VAT has been removed from the PVC as well as palings, stave, shingles, wattles, they're all zero rated now.
Okay, so my last question. Can a VAT registrant charge VAT on stones, considering the fact that the company that that registrant represents may have paid VAT on the product before it became zero rated?
Okay. Before it becomes zero rated and you had paid VAT on the stones, you cannot charge VAT on the stones now to the customer because now it's zero rated. What you can do is to claim back the VAT from the GRA that you had paid on the stones.
Okay, thank you, Suzanne. Always a pleasure having you. Now, if you need more information, feel free to contact us on the numbers listed at the end of our program.
And with that, we've come to the end of the program. Before I go, I must remind you of our email address, grapublicrelations@gmail.com. And we also invite you to visit our website, www.gra.gov.gy, and follow us on Facebook and Instagram for more information. Be sure to tune in next week, same time and place for Focus on GRA. Thank you for watching. I'm Nikisha Castello. See you next time.